I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, July the 20th, brought to you in part by Witex Tags. Cattlemen have learned that they can trust Witex Tags for both 1- and 2-piece tags. Get your Witex Tags. Stock market down, Dow Jones Industrial down over 750 points on Monday to start the week out. It's still monster high, but just under 34,000 points there. But really been taking some losses here of late. Now, why is that? Well, Mr. Magoo's administration claims that there's no signs of inflation, yet everything that you go to buy is higher. And not sure exactly how that works. I guess they never actually have to go buy anything, so they don't get to see that. But am I not right? Every single thing that you go to buy, from groceries to clothes to feed to fuel, fertilizer, anything, everything is higher. And that's inflation, folks. And means your dollar's worth less. And what are we going to do about that? Well, the only surefire way to stop inflation is to raise interest rates. Hold the phone. That changes everything. Everything. Especially on your cattle feed and cattle raising and everything. We have been dealing with record low interest rates here for a lot of years, and guys haven't really been worrying too much about the cost of money because it's just been so cheap. If we get it back up there, just think if interest rates get to 6 or 8%. That changes everything, guys. This deal won't work at all the way we're doing it if your interest rates get high. But COVID fears on the rise again, and I'm so sick of this damn COVID, and I think you guys are too. But I'm scheduled to do some talks for Joplin Regional Stockyards producer meetings in Southwest Missouri. And I don't know if they've got them on hold, but we're kind of taking a look now to see whether or not we're going to be able to have them and what the venue's like, because they get big crowds down there. But one at Nevada, Missouri, one at Bolivar, Missouri, that I was scheduled to do presentations in. I don't know if we're going to be able to have them or not because of the outbreak in Southwest Missouri. It's gotten so high. And they keep preaching, and it's almost like they got scare tactics in, wanting those that haven't had their vaccinations to get their vaccinations. Even if you were sicker than hell and you got antibodies, why don't they let us off on that? But I realize people are getting sick still, and people are always going to be subject to infections, guys. It's just the way it is. We kind of got to go on and live our life. We can't go around living in fear. The healthiest kids that there are in this nation are the Amish kids, and they don't wear shoes, and they rarely wash their hands, take a bath once a week. I think we got to get out and get a little of it on us once in a while, guys. But let's talk about your board to start the week off on Monday. August live cattle futures up 7 cents at 120 1/4. October down 50 cents at 125.10. You go on out from there, and it's down $1.20 to up just 22 cents. But on your nearby is just kind of jostling around here about steady, kind of the way they ended the week last week. August feeder cattle up $1.75 at 157.37. That was kind of surprising to see that jump up. September up 55 cents at 159.05. Your back months of feeder cattle weren't doing much, down a nickel to up 45 cents. Now your weighted average on last week's negotiated fed cattle trade direct in your 5-area feeding region had 60,900 head there, and that's disappointing. That wasn't very good. That compares to 69,700 head the previous week, when supposedly there was a holiday in there, and the same week a year ago, which was 81,000 head. But very disappointing trade, and it's just been kind of unevenly steady here. One week your live average is down, and your dressed average is up, and then the next week it's a reverse, and just kind of jostling around here about steady. But market in the Southern Plains is roughly 120. Northern Plains is roughly 123, maybe 124. but your weighted average on last week's live sales of steers and heifers ranged from 117 to 126. Weighted average on live steers 122.82, and that was 65 cents higher than the steer weighted average live the previous week, so gained a little bit of ground there. But on the dress side, dress sales steers and heifers range from 191 to 202, big time widespread there. But your weighted average on dress steers 197.80. That was down 53 cents from the dress steer weighted average from the previous week. But your nationwide had 75,800 head. Negotiated sales, formula sales totaled 279,400 head. We've lost the battle if we don't get one of these mandated fixes in here, guys. We've absolutely lost the battle. But 38% of those negotiated sales, or 28,700 head of them, were for the negotiated grid. And now we're seeing them throw more. And we've heard about this. They were pushing for negotiated grid because it sounds like, they're trying to help out a little bit. So we're seeing bigger numbers of those being turned in as negotiated grid. But for the most part, there's really no negotiation. Where was the negotiation? Where was the haggle? What were those prices? What were the bids and what were the asks on the negotiated grid? We didn't see any of that. You go up in the Midwest, a friend of mine there, Greg Harrison, does a report in Missouri, which is a voluntary direct fed cattle report there in Missouri, and he does report negotiated grid prices. But, they're turning in, 6, 7, 8,000 of them in Texas. You don't ever hear of any trade. It doesn't help us arrive at a price or anything. And let's go back and look at your negotiated grid last week, and we see that your live negotiated grid price ranged from 119 to 125. Hell, that's right in your negotiated cash price. Your dress from 190 to 206. Now the top side's a little higher, but the bottom side's a little bit lower. And on the weighted average on live steers negotiated grid was 120.36. You get your kickers there, but that's about $2 to $3 lower than what your negotiated cash was. Dress negotiated grid, the steer weighted average was 196.10. You get your kickers, but it was lower than what your negotiated dress cash was. And then you look at the pricing of them, which that would have been cattle from weeks before that sold on negotiated grid that were actually priced last week. So you get the net negotiated grid price and you think, boy, that's going to be really good, isn't it? How about your live negotiated grid price on steers net that was established last week after they had them killed? I mean, we're getting like sheep people. We give them the cattle, they kill them, they sell the meat, decide what they want to give you for them, and then they give it to you. But your net priced last week, live negotiated grid price weighted average last week was 123.81. Big whoop. That's the only way you can sell those really top quality cattle and really get the heave-ho on them. I'd rather sell them at auction in one of the Midwest sales there. They bring a hell of a lot more. How about your dress negotiated grid weighted average price net that was priced last week? It was 197.46. That wasn't even as high as our cash dress price this last week. But I don't know. They're trying to pull funny things and pull the wool over our eyes, and NCBA's joining right in there, and they're really touting this negotiated grid, trying to throw in on negotiated cash, saying that we're not tripping any triggers, and that's the way they're going to try to get around it, guys. If we do get some of these mandates put in, is exactly that way, and you heard it here first. But what about an auction? One that I've never talked about before that I didn't even know was there. But Justin Stewart, the auctioneer at Cascade Livestock Auction in Cascade, Iowa, gave me a heads up there. He said, hey, we had a pretty good fat cattle auction here today on Monday. 400 plus head of beef fat cattle there. They were sold from 121 to 128.75. I kind of like the top end of that. How about some Holsteins? Oh, you can't sell those anymore. Nobody will kill them. Well, they sold mostly from 110 to 115.50. That doesn't sound too awful bad either. tell you what, competition, get them in front of there. You know, you got your auctioneer kind of being the negotiator there, and we got bidding taking place. You can't beat it, guys, and we've got to get more negotiation in there, and it may not be through an auction, but that would be one way that those packers could fulfill their obligation for negotiated cash, would be in an auction setting. And wouldn't that be wonderful if we could get several more fed cattle auctions up and going full steam? If we could get some of those mandates in there, we got to get them, guys, got to get them. Box beef cutout values lower starting the week here, and they could tumble another $10, $15, $20 here and still kind of be in there. You remember when fat cattle were at their all-time record high, choice boxes were at $256. Well, on Monday they were at $266.49, down $1.45. Selects $249.49, down $2.30. Your slaughters are going to be a little disappointing this week because we do have one major plant that they've already said is going to be dark at least 1, maybe 2 days here late this week. Let's talk about the last of the big round of early summer videos. Northern Livestock videos, summertime classic right there. A lot of good cattle on there from the northern plains up there in the north mountain states. But the one that kind of stuck out to me was the Vinton land and cattle there, and that's Northern Livestock. That's the Billings Mafia up there, guys. If you know them, and they do an awful good job putting that video together, Northern Livestock video. But Vinton land and cattle from Whitman, Nebraska. 260 weaned steers. Weaned is the key here, guys, because the programs on them, other than Top Genetics, were not great. But 260 weaned steer calves for December delivery. Now, they were top quality Keneally Angus genetics, but crossed with Charolais cows. So the F1 crosses there, Charolais Angus. 260 of them, 750 pound base weight, $174, big time price there. How about your auctions on Monday? Your real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Monday sitting at 151.46, actually up 53 cents from the end of last week. So starting the week here early in our big high volume Monday sales higher. Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City, 7,750 head of feeder cattle on Monday. Feeders steady to $2 higher. That goes right along with what that index is showing. Steer calves were $1 to $2 lower than last week. Heifer calves steady to $2 higher. Been cool and rainy around there, fixing to get hot. Joplin Regional Stockyards, 4,200 head, $2 to $4 higher for the most part. Spots as much as $7 higher on some weights of heifers. How about a stick-out deal from Joplin? 81 head, 842 pound steers at $152. Joplin Regional Stockyards. Let's go up in the northern plains. Aberdeen livestock sales up there where it's dry. Aberdeen, South Dakota. 64 head, 802 pound steers bring 160 and a quarter. But the best quote that I saw anywhere on Monday, and your Zach Tran top quote for the day, come out of Tri-State Livestock in McCook, Nebraska. How about 242 head, 970 pound steers at $155? And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.